It takes a lot to be the strongest person in the room, but also the most gentle person in the room. It takes a lot to be a leader. It takes a lot to be a friend. It takes a lot to be a hero. And it takes a lot to have the responsibility of the world hanging on to you with every step that you take. As a role model, you are expected to uphold a very different level of betterness than the people around you. You're expected to be able to stay strong, to be able to stay passionate, to be able to stay you through it all, no matter what happens. And to part of that is all to be a hero. You know, to be a hero, one must be able to look the other way on things that might make everything easier for them, but are going to be bad in the long run. And I don't think anybody else has embraced that more than Optimus Prime. Peter Cullen passed away earlier today. He was 85 years old, so it's always in the back of your mind thinking that it'll get to this point, that one day he might not be here. One day he might not be able to pick up the mic and be able to do the Optimus Prime voice that he's so known for. And it sucks, it really sucks. It hurts. So many people, including me, have grown up with Optimus Prime as not just a cool cartoon character, not just the awesome Autobot leader that we watch on cartoons, but as a hero, as a role model. I've met people who, didn't have a father figure in their life, and Optimus Prime was that father figure. I myself had a dad, and I had a great father figure, but, he always felt like, role model, to look at somebody that has such a blind optimism throughout any of his interpretations, even the ones that seem to be the most down, even through things like the Bayverse, you could always count on Optimus Prime to have a inspirational speech that made you want to just get back up and do what must be done. And that always held true through any of his interpretations, and part of that is Peter Cullen. Actually, the biggest part of it is Peter Cullen. Peter Cullen tells a story of how when he went to go try out to be Optimus for the first time, he went to his brother who was in the military, who told him to be strong enough to be gentle. So that's what he should be aiming for with his voice. And I think he perfectly got that down. I think as a hero, as a leader, Optimus Prime was not only strong enough to be gentle, but Optimus Prime gave us all a ideal, a person to be, a person to look up to and try to be better, a person to envision that maybe if I keep doing what I'm doing, maybe I can one day be as good as him. I can't tell you how many times I watched all the movies, the cartoons, everything, read the comics, even though the comics didn't have his voice, it always felt like I was listening to Peter Cullen no matter what Optimus Prime I was watching. And he made that character, and he, as a hero, as not just a hero, but as a leader, it felt like Optimus Prime was the perfect showcase of what it means to be the leader, of what it means to be somebody who, even in the face of despair, always got back up. It's in the name, the blind optimism of a leader to continue to fight for what is right. We hear all the quotes, freedom is the right of all sentient beings. I think that's the big one that we should talk about. I feel like in this political climate, how human rights have turned into a politics issue, sometimes you need to look back and see like what the greatest heroes and leaders of the past have said, and it all dials back to something along that line, that freedom is everyone's right. Whether it be about race, whether it be about gender, whether it be about sexuality, it is not just a right, it's what makes us human, right? It's that freedom of choice, that freedom of being you is part of what makes you you. and it felt like that's something we've lost. It's something that got lost in the sauce. It felt like it was something that the world just seemed to forget. It felt like it was something where we were allowing ourselves to just let people who don't believe in that same ideal just kind of run things, and it's trickled down to the average person. You hear so much about how people could care less about somebody based on their race. How people could care less about somebody simply based on their sexuality, how they're so willing to fight for the right to take away that freedom, how they're so willing to make it so even if they are a sentient being, that freedom is not given to them. And Optimus always felt like he showed me exactly like one of the people I should be like, right? It felt like he always showed me, a role model that we should strive to be. I know me personally, my role models that weren't like real people, the cartoons were always like guys like him, Sonic, Spider-Man, and always dialed down to that freedom of choice, that freedom of responsibility, that freedom to do what you want to do. And it's one of the things that I feel like have made it so easy to live, knowing that you have morals like that backing you up. Another quote I always hear by him is to hang on to your dreams, for the future's built on them. And I love that quote because I feel like it's so easy to forget what your dreams are. I feel like it's so easy to forget what made you get up when you were a kid, what makes you get up now, the things that are always in the back of your head that you're always daydreaming about doing, the dreams that you constantly pray to God, that you wish, that you're like, please God, can you do anything to get me in the position to accomplish these dreams? And yeah, they are what the future is made of. There would have been no future. There would have been no advancements in life and technology and human history without the dream of something. You can go back to freedom. There would be no, my people would not be free if there was never a dream for freedom, right? The most popular black activist of all time, Martin Luther King, said he once had a dream that we could all walk equally. If it wasn't for that dream of freedom, even before him, there would be no slavery, could still exist, because nobody would have dreamt of freedom, would have dreamt of being free, would have dreamt of being human. If it wasn't for MLK's dream of equality, if it wasn't for all black people's dream of equality, there would be segregation still, And I know I've related a lot to social justice issues, but I believe it's so integral. A big part of Optimus Prime and what makes him so real and so effective and so great for so many people and such a great role model is that what he stands for is something we should all stand for. You have to dream. You have to be able to dream big, no matter how impossible those dreams might feel to accomplish, no matter how hard those dreams might feel, no matter how difficult the route is. You have to dream. You have to dream of freedom. You have to dream of what you want to do. You have to dream of whether that be athletics. You have to dream of whether that be creativity, whether if you want to dream of making the world a better place, whether that's as something as like minuscule as just helping out somebody cross the road, or as something even bigger as helping create clean energy for the future generations. It doesn't matter, because you're dreaming still and you're accomplishing those dreams. Those dreams are what gets you up. Those dreams are what you decide your future on. You decide your future because you're chasing those dreams. You decide your future because you want to be a doctor to make sure nobody else has to go through what you went through. You're just chasing those dreams of wanting to be a firefighter because you want to go save people. You want to go help people. You're chasing those dreams of wanting to be an artist because you yourself were inspired by an artist before you. And you want to chase your dreams of being an athlete because that's what made you you. That's the thing that kept you going through even the worst of times. That's the role models that you looked at as bigger than life people. And those dreams are what makes us us. The ability to dream, to have that freedom, to have that soul is what makes us so human. And it's so crazy because it felt like Optimus Prime, even though he wasn't technically human, he felt more human than so many of us. He is history's greatest hero, I had a discussion with somebody the other day if we counted Optimus Prime as a superhero, and at first I was like, I didn't think about it. I don't know if I consider him a superhero, but yeah, I do. I consider him a superhero. He's saved so many people inside of his own show, but he's also saved me. He's helped me through my darkest of times. I know I had some times I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going, and being able to look and see a bigger than life figure like that helped me. That helped keep me going. That helped me make decisions that have impacted me today. Even if they're good or bad, the ability, the fact that I'm still chasing these dreams, the fact that we're still chasing freedom, the freedom of choice is so big on what makes us us. I wanted to get a video out to talk about Optimus Prime, what he's meant for me, Peter Cullen was more than just Optimus Prime though, I know a lot of people might know him as a donkey from Winnie the Pooh, which is funny because I never even put that together, that he was. And some people might have been introduced to him recently through Thaddeus from Invincible. Which is pretty crazy, right, to think about. But no, it wasn't Donkey, it's Eeyore. Sorry, I haven't seen it in a long time. It's been a very long time. But I know, me personally, I know him from Transformers. Not just from the movies, the games, the cartoons. He's been in so many things in so many parts of our world that he's more than just Optimus Prime. I know I can think of him as Optimus Prime, but he's more than that. He's human just like us, man. And it's gonna be weird waking up knowing that him and Optimus aren't gonna be here. We'll see other people pick up those heavy shoulders to pick up the Matrix and voice him, but it'll never be the same, and that's okay, because I think that's the beautiful part of life. I think that's the beautiful part of it all, that he might not be, that even if we see Chris Hemsworth pick up the role as Optimus again, even if it's not Optimus, it's still carrying on that legacy. It's still carrying on that same legacy of wanting to be better, and that's part of it. Even Optimus himself said, "Do not grieve me. I'm just joining the Matrix for now." You could simply think of it as just another transformation. It's something that you look at it and you can just think of it as Hot Rod picking up the Matrix now. That maybe it's not on him, maybe it's up to us to continue on that legacy and to continue on the things that he stood for. Thank you guys for listening or watching, or however you consume this. I wanted to get a different video out, but I had to talk about this. Rest in peace, Peter Cullen. And thank you guys for listening or watching, and I'll see you another time. Peace out.